Hello there, this is Greg the Prepper Ninja. I'm coming to you from our underground bunker in the Ozark Mountains today in the middle of the coronavirus outbreak. So today we're going to talk about something very specific that I've had the most comments about, the most questions about. This is the bug out bag, because there's so many types of bug out bags. There's EDC, there's bug out, there's bug in, there's get home, there's get safe, there's the house kit, the car kit. Anyway, we're going to talk about the most basic tenets of that today. So, first things first, this episode, number 2 of the Prepper Ninjas blog, is brought to you by the Black Belt Mastery Center of Eureka Springs, Arkansas, your home for martial arts, life skills, survival training, and a good family. Today, bug out bags. Interesting subject. So, what we're going to look at today is all of the equipment and requirements in a basic bug out bag. It's amazing how many people take a look at these checklists and big, long, drawn-out lists of you need to have this to survive and that to survive and that. And they might as well just start going ahead and filling up a car or a pickup bed with all the stuff. It's just way too much to put in a bag. A bug out bag requires that you understand what bug out means. A bug out is a military term that meant the enemy is coming. We have to leave this situation right now, taking only the essential items and get ourselves to safety. And any of you who are older and watched the series MASH saw many instances, I think there were about 4 or 5 episodes where they bugged out or talked about bugging out, where everybody just had to put all their essentials in a truck, and sometimes they had to leave stuff behind that was non-essential. That's a really good way to look at this, because a bug out means that there has been a traumatic event that you have to get away from. As you're looking at the requirements for a bug out bag, you got to look at what is going to be happening. You're going to have this bag on your back, and you're going to be traveling from place to place. That means putting distance between you and whatever the traumatic event was. The requirements of your bug out bag are to keep you managed in your core temperature, water, and calories. You have to be able to cover ground quickly so the bug out bag can't be huge. And you also have to have first aid because you might have been injured in the traumatic event or injured in traveling quickly away from it. And to travel, you need navigation. That's it. Now, we're going to talk about in later podcasts other things like EDC, what's on your person, everyday carry. Bug-in bags, the bigger kits where you're just going to hunker down. Car kits that you don't have to carry, they're in your car. But today is just the bug-out bag. So in the bug-out bag, that's all we're talking about. Some sort of shelter kit to manage your core temperature. Some sort of water because you need to be hydrated. Some sort of calories because you're moving. You're expending calories and you're in a stressful situation. First aid, because crap happens. If you're moving too quickly and you fall down a hillside and you get a large cut because of a rock, you have to deal with that so it doesn't become septic. Getting to the place that you're going. So, navigation. That's it. That's all. So, let's just start at the top here. Dealing with your core temperature, you're going to have to work on something in the context of a shelter system. Now, that means something to sleep on, sleep in, and sleep under. It's very important to find something you can sleep on because your body temperature going into the ground is one of the easiest ways for you to lose thermal energy at night. The ground will just suck up body heat because the earth is so much bigger than you. You're not getting warmth from it. It's getting warmth from you. It's a heat sink. Something to sleep in gives you a basic protection for your body heat going off into the air. And then something to sleep under gives you protection from the elements, rain, sleet, ice, snow, any of those sort of things. And sometimes wind also, although that's covered a little bit by in. Let's talk about something to sleep on. Now, if you can afford a military surplus bivy sack, they are great because they're durable and they allow you the option of sleeping in them for some thermal protection, or you can fill them with leaves and brown twigs and that sort of stuff, just basic, just a biological mass, and then sleep on them, and that will provide some sort of insulation between you and the ground. The bivy sack's great because it gives you that, and it gives you something to sleep in also if you're not using it as a mattress. In the sleeping in it option, you have the ability to keep your body heat from being blown away by wind that's passing by and so forth. Now, if you don't have that, or you can't afford that, or you're just doing this on the quick, a 30-gallon trash bag will also provide some layer of wind protection. You can fill it with leaves and branches and boughs, and it will be a mattress. There are options, but something in that line. And honestly, if you're going to have a lightweight kit, put 2 or 3 30-gallon bags in there because they're so handy for a variety of things. The sleep in can be a bedroll, it can be a sleeping bag, it can be the bivy sack, it can be the 30-gallon trash bag. Something of that nature would be just fine. And the sleep under should be something you could stake out so that it doesn't get blown away by wind. Maybe a tarp with grommets. If the tarp with grommets has a camouflage pattern, that's fine. If it's bright blue, you might be able to be seen from a distance. The situation is going to define what you need. So you may need to be unseen. You may need to be camouflaged. Or you may need to be seen for rescue. You may need that bright blue or the silver. Or there are tarps that are bright orange. Having 1 or 2 of those available is handy. If this is an emergency bag, I don't know if I would just keep multiples of absolutely everything. In the line of multiples, you're going to hear this a lot. 1 is none and 2 is 1 because things fail. So you need a redundancy. You need multiple things that you can use to take care of yourself. For example, when we get to fire, we're going to talk about multiple ways to start fire. If you have 1 lighter and that lighter fails, you have none. So that's why they say 2 is 1 and 1 is none. For body heat, let's think about thermal mattresses. Those are those rolls that you can have that are designed. You can get military surplus olive drab green ones. You can have those with silver reflective linings. They're designed to keep your body heat from going into the ground, and they're great. But they're bulky, they're obvious, and they catch on things. So if you're trying to just fit in like a college student traveling through city, you're going to have a backpack. And if you have a bedroll on that backpack with one of these thermal blankets, you're going to kind of stand out. So that's a personal choice there on where you think you might need that, because there's times you're going to be bugging out from the city or have to bug through the city. An urban environment requires that you look urban. Looking tactical and camouflaged and strapped down with these Alice straps is not always the best thing because you do stand out. Okay, now, in the midst of absolutely everything, you will always hear me say that you need cordage. Cordage in the way of a 550 paracord is the number 1 recommendation. However, any good strong string will work. I have these big industrial spools from, I don't know if they're embroidery or quilt making or something of that nature, but these are strands of a cotton-like fabric that is probably 1/16 of an inch, and they are strong as can be. I have thousands of feet of that, so I put some of that in, along with my paracord and other things. Very important stuff. Cordage, there's so many uses, that could be its own show. But what we're talking about with cordage is something to tie down things, something to tie off things, something to tie up things. If you're creating a spear to fish, or you're creating a steakage or something like that, you need to have a cord to tie to your steak, or something to tie the arrowhead onto the spear for the fish, or, just the list goes on and on. The next item is the fire kit. There are times that you're not going to want to leave smoke and be seen or have a fire available. So what you're going to do is avoid that and deal with things with the bivy kit, where you're going to be curled up inside insulation so you don't lose heat. But there are times that you also need heat. You're going to need to boil water, you're going to need to cook things, and so forth. So a fire kit is very important. Now, multiple reasons that the fire kit is just not one thing, because in certain situations, certain things are not workable. So, in the fire kit, the basic lightweight fire kit that I carry includes a lighter, and honestly, it requires 3 lighters. I'm just like that. They're spread out through the pack, so I always have lighters available. A match set, one of those little waterproof match boxes that you can find from Walmart, and either storm matches or take your matches and dip their heads in paraffin, where you can crack the wax off before you strike them and use them. Makes them a weatherproof or waterproof match. Ferrocerium rods are a big version of the same thing that you find in lighters, and they can create sparks depending on how big the rod is. It can last thousands and thousands and thousands of fire lighting. Candles are handy for a variety of reasons. And I like beeswax candles. That's just my personal preference because beeswax melts at a low temperature and is available to put on tinder and allow the tinder to burn longer. But these candles will provide heat. If you put a 6-hour candle from a survival type candle in there, that's available heat and light for quite some time. Now, this is a little surefire that you don't have to relight every time, so you can take the candle and light your fire. It goes out, you've still got the candle, relight your fire. Very handy stuff. And the wax also will help weatherproof your matches if you have to do it on the fly. A variety of uses there, so it's very handy to have. Now, a Fresnel lens, one of those little flat lenses that will fit in your wallet, is just gold. Because if there's sunlight, you can create a fire. One of the handiest things that I have ever found is I went to a craft store, and in the section where they had items for coin collectors, I was able to find a small magnifying glass on a little stand that was designed to sit up over a coin and investigate the coin's stamps and quality and so forth. And this folds up, fits in my pocket, and has been one of the best fire starters I have ever had. You can get in Walmart or survival stores online a variety of things for tinder, but a cotton ball that has been soaked in and had Vaseline massaged into it is a very good tinder. And the cotton burns, but it burns way too fast. So the Vaseline actually makes it burn longer. People think, oh, the Vaseline makes it burn. It's not the case. The Vaseline actually makes it burn slower so that it actually spends more time and will help relight larger things like your twigs and larger litter and debris that you're going to burn. Now, one of the most important things that every kit has to have is some form of first aid. You have 2 levels of first aid that you have to think about. Number 1 is the trauma kit. Let's say that you have a large problem, broken bone to punctured lung. A trauma kit is going to deal with clotting of bleeding, tourniquets, sealing of body cavities, that sort of thing. Black Scout Survival's personal kit is a really good one. I don't toss out many recommendations here, but they are good. And the level below that would be your boo-boo kit. This is your Band-Aids, this is your antiseptic, you have scrapes and burns and cuts and bruises. These need to be dealt with for comfort so you can continue on, but they're not life-threatening. So those 2 things we're going to deal with in other episodes, but don't go without first aid in those 2 levels. The next thing that you have to think about is water. Every person needs a half a gallon of water today if there's not a problem with heat or exertion. So under heat or exertion, you need more than half a gallon of water a day. Now, water is 8 pounds per gallon, so you really have to think about how much water you're going to put in your pack or how much you're going to deal with purification, filtering, and boiling with the items in your pack that weigh less. I really like the Sawyer mini filter. It filters down to 1 micron, and it has a syringe that for back flushing it that would also be good for irrigating wounds. So it can be a double duty thing, and anything that you can put in your kit that's double duty, that does more than one thing, is very, very important. So filtration is the first thing I'd like to think about. Have that going in. Now, in a smaller level, water purification tablets with little bottles or packets, depending on what you're getting, will fit into anything. They're really easy because you can fill up your canteen, your water bottle on the go, drop the tablets in, and keep moving while they're doing their job. If you have a time to sit down and deal with things without resources, boiling the water is important. Along with your kit, you should always have some sort of water bottle. And if you're going to invest in a water bottle, it should probably be a single-wall stainless steel water bottle. Single wall so that heat will go through it, and stainless steel so you can put it over a fire. And this means that in your water bottle, you can boil water. And that will actually kill bacteria in it. It won't change heavy metals and clean out certain chemicals, but it will deal with bacteria, which is the first thing that will probably kill you. And at that, a cotton shemagh is one of the things that I like to take along with me because it's handy for clothing. You can wet it and keep yourself cool. And when you're filling up water, it's a good pre-filter to keep debris and crap that's floating in the water out to your water bottle as you're filling it. Now, as far as food, everybody talks about survival fishing kits and puts in hooks and lines and bobbers and all that sort of stuff. That's fine. But in a bug-out situation, how many bodies of water are you going to cross that have fishable areas deep enough that they have an ecosystem that supports fish? It's going to be rare. So, in your food kit, Number one, you need to have emergency rations, things that have calories that you don't have to work for. You can add in a light kit for fishing, hunting, trapping, some snare wire, possibly little barbs, arrowheads, things of that nature, stuff that will actually work. But the important thing is that you spend time before these situations happen and you learn how to use them. Do you know how to create a snare, or have you just read it in a book? Have you ever gone out and created a snare? If you haven't, then the likelihood of you actually getting food to survive is pretty minimal for the work involved. So, bearing that in mind, you're going to have to make sure that you actually stock yourself up with things that you can use and provide you a return on your investment. Next is the navigation kit. The most important thing in bugging out is leaving one place and going to another, reaching safety. So, whatever is in this kit, you have to be experienced with and know how to use. A lot of people in the modern world of Google Maps and so forth are relying on technology. Well, what if you don't have a phone? What if electricity is down? What if cell towers are down? Have you ever used a paper map? Have you ever used a compass? Ideally, on a baseline, the outside world cannot turn off a paper map or a compass. So, paper maps, compass, waterproof paper, pencils. And if you've never considered this on a regular basis, think about measuring how far it is from one place to another. Pace beads are basically beads that you can slide down a string and they'll stay in place. It's a leather thong or a heavy piece of string, so they don't just slide freely. And so you have 100 paces, slide a bead. 100 paces, slide a bead. And then once you reach 1,000 paces, you slide a bead on the second string. And that way you know how far you have gone. Now, to do this, you really need to have a pretty good idea of how long your pace is. Everybody says, well, a pace is a yard. If you've ever measured it, you realize that's not entirely true. And everybody has a different pace, size, a different stride, a different length, because their legs are different. So these things are important to deal with. And if you don't know how to use it, don't put it in your bag. Say, oh, well, I've got a compass in my bag. Well, do you know how to use it? If you don't, it's just weight that you're carrying. There are essentials that every bag has to have, whether it's an EDC, bug out, bug in, car bag, anything. These things are a source of light, and for a bug out bag, ideally a headlamp that you can turn on and just lights up wherever you're looking is very important. A fixed blade knife, less moving parts, easy to deal with. Takes a beating. A fixed blade knife is golden. A multi-tool. Now don't just get a cheap $5 multi-tool, get something that will last, something that has sharpenable blades, tools that won't break when you put stress on them. You're looking at your survival, so it's worth spending a little money here. And then extra batteries. So, in the end result, this is everything that we need to cover in a bug-out bag, a go bag, as I would call it. You need to deal with something to take care of your core temperature, water, calories, the ability to cover ground quickly so it's lightweight, first aid, and navigation. These are the things that you need to review and work on. Before everyone starts screaming, oh, you forgot this, you forgot that, you didn't put in my favorite item, and so forth, the essentials that I've covered today leave space in the bag for personalization. If you don't know how to use it, you shouldn't put it in your bag. I will reiterate that. If you do not know how to use it, do not put it in your bag. So I'm not going to tell you to put in other things. I'm going to tell you to leave space for things that you are proficient with. That's been it for today. Thank you for listening, and come back and see us soon. Visit us at theprepperninja.com and on YouTube. You'll get some cool surprises, and also we're going to be having a Patreon soon, so you can actually buy in for some extra goodies and some inside information. Thanks. Be safe. Be smart.